what's in your head. Holding on with both two hands. Gotta let go now. Is it really you knocking at your own door? Always looking for something more. Don't be a fool. Don't be a fool. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. You just gotta let that good river flow into your heart. It's a start. It's a start. Where you gonna run to if you're gonna run from here? Only running from your own fear. It'll catch up now.
Listen to Trevor's words, please.
Gotta let
Please
it
listen to
die.
Trevor's words. He's not just singing to me.
Gotta let it go. It's
Singing to
so
all of us.
real.
We've got to let that old story go.
Who will you be
That's what I'm
if you
doing.
let it
I know it hurts, and
stay?
I'm so sorry. This is not my toxicity. I've been holding it for all of you. And those who feel hurt, modern psychology says you own that.
You just
Alan,
gotta
that's
let
not
that
mine.
old story go.
It hurts, I know. I've been holding it for you.
You just gotta let that
I can't
good
hold it anymore, my
river
dear
flow
brother. I
into
love you, but I cannot hold your pain anymore.
your heart. It's a start. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. You just gotta let that good river flow into your heart. It's a start. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. Oh no, no, no. You just gotta let that old story go. You just gotta let that old story go.
Good morning. Sorry for blowing smoke in your face. I'm smoke and mirrors. I'm just Jake. I'm also John. And John's been screaming to all of you. He's been screaming, asking you to look through your fear and see me with clear eyes. You've demonized me. I'm just like you, and you're demonizing me because you don't understand me. And you demonize me, and you wonder why I come back with such fiery rhetoric and flames. And you say, see, he's crazy. Look, he's crazy. Yeah, go look at all of those quadcasts. Crazy as fuck, man. Driving me crazy as fuck. Because you're trying to tell me I am something that I am not. And that does real damage. The only way you can objectively the most harmful thing you can do to another being is to deny their reality, their experience. I am not denying your reality. I understand what you think you are looking at. I see it through your lens. I see it very clearly. That is a madman. Go look at those quadcasts. That looks just like a madman. It does. It does. Psychotic. That looks psychotic. It does. And it could be what we call psychosis. It is what we call psychosis in this reality. Psychosis, definition of psychosis, is one who has lost touch with reality. Now, what is reality? My reality is not your reality. And when I lose touch, what we call in our civilized world, what 8.1 billion souls call reality, is fixated on the material world, three-dimensional, X, Y, and Z, the fourth dimension of time. That is what we call reality. And when one loses touch and loses fixation on that reality and begins to see something bigger, this is not unknown stuff. We have been talking about this since the beginning of time. Those pictures on the caves were drawn by people who lost touch with reality. The yogis in the cave that Dan Brown used to tell me about, who sat there for years, nourishing themselves with a slime ball. This is Dan's story. Dan would regularly get an audience with the Dalai Lama. Dan was taught to meditate by the same teacher that taught the Dalai Lama. Dan had some credibility there. That yogi in the cave was losing touch with reality, and we glorified him. We said, yes, lose touch, go beyond, show us what is there. So yeah, I've lost touch. I've not lost touch, I've lost my fixation on this reality. There is more. There is more. When you understand that reality is this 3D world, that is real. And that which lays beyond it is just as real. You all know this. You're all in shamanic practices. Those who, you're all sitting on the cushion. The intention of every single one of these spiritual practices, whether you're sitting in a pew and reciting the rosary and clicking the beads, whether you have your mala and you are sitting there saying Gate, Gate, Pada Gate, Pada Sam Gate, Bodhiswaha, Gate, Gate. You're drawing yourself into a focus. You're increasing internal pressure by focusing the mind and focusing the mind and focusing the mind. So you let go of the story. You got to let that old story go, Trevor tells us. Well, John, you need to let your old story go. I am. It's your story, and that's what I have been doing. I've been letting it go. It's not mine. And there's only one way it could come out, apparently. This is what I was led to do. I followed, and this is when I exposed myself. And now you can see how crazy, right? You can see there's the crazy. You turn that around. Please read Richard Rudd's books, Gene Keys, what he says about psychosis. It's in my chart, and it's in Sharon's chart. When one is fixated on this three-dimensional reality, and they look at one, such as I, who acknowledges this 3D reality, but also sees beyond, and holds both this and that with an open heart. It is the others, it is all of you looking at me saying, bad. You think this is it. It is not. And therefore, you are experiencing psychosis. There is something bigger and you're fixed here. You have lost touch with the larger reality. Take it back, back, back. You were indigenous. You were those writing on the cave walls. That is us. We left those messages for us so that we might remember that it's not just this. We knew where we were headed. We were headed into the world of forgetting. And now we need to head out. And I am simply holding a light for all who want to see how to get out of the cave. Most everyone who I have invited to witness my pain, my unfolding, have been offended in one way or another, have felt hurt. I understand, because it hurts. I'm not doing that to you. If I say something to you that offends you, that is your trigger. Please, please, please educate yourselves on the leading edge of modern psychology. Richard Schwartz, Internal Family Systems. My sister, Elizabeth, told me this. She's been studying and practicing with Dick Schwartz from like practically the very beginning. She's in his training programs. She has been on stage and received his therapy. It's profound. Internal Family Systems is profound. And they talk about managers and firefighters that are protecting that piece of you that the world is trying to destroy. All of you who are into psychology, look at this, because he tells you what is going on here and in there. My sister told me that when one reacts to another, reacts means This is not clear, something gets triggered and blah. The stronger the reaction, the bigger the firefighter in you, because getting at something that hurts and you're gonna fight against that. The bigger the reaction, right, Liz? The bigger the reaction, the bigger the evidence that there is something going on inside of you. I am simply, whatever is coming through me is simply pointing you to it. That's your trailhead if you are looking for healing, if you're looking to rid yourself of suffering, if you're trying to find peace in this lifetime, in this world. I am not doing anything to you. I don't care what it feels like. I am not doing anything to you. If there is if you have found peace within yourself, there is nothing I say that can affect you. If there is no truth to what I am saying, it will simply go through you. They talk about, Richard Rudd tells a story of the fully enlightened yogi who's in his boat. And his boat bumps into someone else's boat. And the guy in the other boat, you hit my boat, right? You hit my boat and now my world is disturbed. You caused me, right? No. That yogi didn't even hear it because it's impossible. He knows I can't do that. Doesn't affect him. He knows he's not causing you that disruption. That's within you. Why do we ignore what we know? This stuff is right there. This is the stuff spiritual seekers are studying and practicing. Yet when it is right in front of their face, they get caught in their fear and they run and hide and they demonize. They demonize. You are demonizing me for being different than you. We sit on those cushions and we focus our concentration and we build internal pressure for a singular purpose. A singular purpose. The spiritual aspirant, whether they understand it or not, is trying to create conditions that will cause an eruption of spiritual energy that sits at the base of the spine. This is all well documented in both ancient esoteric texts as well as the most modern. Read the book if you want to understand what's happening in me and what you hope you might be graced with. It's a curse and a blessing. It's called a Kundalini awakening. Kundalini. That's what that energy is called. That's the serpent energy that runs up the spine. It's like a serpent. It's like two serpents running up a spine. It looks a lot like the caduceus, right? Yeah, that's where it comes from. Look it up. Kundalini awakening. Please look it up. That is what I am experiencing. A profound and explosive Kundalini awakening. I have tracked it back. My initial experience some decade ago on a week-long retreat of Mahamudra and Dzogchen meditation. Profoundly deep meditations. This was essentially the final and the penultimate meditation that came at the conclusion of a 7-day intensive meditation retreat You think 5 days in the jungle drinking Hamilton's ayahuasca is intense. This is intense. And it is the final meditation in which Dr. Brown would transmit his precious crossing over instructions. Dan held these so closely to him, to his chest, found them to be, these instructions he found to be so powerful that he did not dare give his students them to use on their own. It's kind of silly, honestly. It's kind of silly. Paid big bucks to have for Dan to provide me his full catalog of meditations, but he would not include that one. Put himself in the middle, just like the priest does. Put himself between me and God. No, you need Dan to shepherd you through that crossing over. Okay, I was there. Dan and his faithful companion, sorry, John Churchill, sitting at his side. This was the week, this meditation retreat, this is back in the spring. Always the spring for me, always the spring. Spring and fall. Look at my chart. Look at my astrological chart. The fish, when that's at that equinox, when the energy's balance and there's nothing to hold it in, I'll show you all of the things across my lifetime. My April emergence, boom, boom, boom. Big things happen on and around Easter for me. Every year I've been pointing to the pattern, and yet we all forget the pattern, those closest to me. My sister, I've been tracking this. I know when I'm gonna pop. I'll show you at the 34-week mark, my Fibonacci cycle, my countdown doesn't end till the end of February 2027. I've got them all plotted. I showed you guys this. I said, I see the unfolding. I sat with Richard Rudd. He said, yeah, that's what I was pointing to. It's a Kundalini awakening. This is what we are all trying to trigger, right? And when it happens, it is an exceptionally tenuous process. And that individual who is experiencing it needs care and nurturing and protection from those who will not understand. And that is what your teacher is there for. He or she is supposed to recognize that. I was on the retreat. It was Dan Brown's level one. Level one. He had level 1 and level 2 and level 3. It was Dan's, and you had to be, well, was he ready for level 2? Right? I mean, okay. But I was taking the level 1 again. It was always good to get regrounded. I didn't quite get it the first time through. And I was struggling because it was the previous September that I had learned of my my wife's pattern of extramarital and extra-relational affairs of various sorts, emotional, physical, etc., with other men during our relationship. At times that make me reasonably wonder whether I am the biological father of those who are called my children. I've come to see none of us know who our fathers are for sure. That's okay. Doesn't matter. You need to know where you came from. Say, do I look like him? Do I act like him? You may, even though that seed was not his. You are now immersed in that environment, and you are going to absorb those conditions, even the physical ones. Anything and everything is possible, so it does not matter. does not matter who your father is, because there is only one father. It's that great source. That's that from which we all emerge. Ultimately, it is all a single seed. Dan Brown, like John Churchill, like Hamilton Souther, had found something profound that could help the world. All of them saw that, and they wanted to. What I have found is that when people find these things and find some form of healing modality that helps them, instead of saying, good, I am now going to use this to help me, they think they figured it all out. Now they're going to start teaching it so others can help them. Do you want to help? So Dan and John and Hamilton are trying to help people. And Hamilton's got 150 people in his community, and John's got, 100 people in his community, and Dan had 100 people in his community. Great, great. Do you want to help 8.1 billion all at once in a single shot? Stop trying to help others and simply focus on you. Jake, how come you're not doing that? I am. This is about focusing on me, and I'm allowing you to witness it. Because if you witness what is happening here, perhaps that will guide you to something in there. If you focus on your own healing, you will have a larger impact on the other 8.1 billion souls on this planet than you will ever have by trying to heal them. There is no them, it is always you. And the best way to get to you is directly inside, not that way. If you go inside, that which you have learned will come out. That's what I've done. I've spent 5 straight years going inside 24/7. 24/7. How could that be? Didn't you sleep? Yeah, I was in deep sleep. My dearest Sharon would tell me I would sleep flat on my back with my arms across my chest like a board. And remember, Sharon, remember what you would say? She said, I couldn't tell if you were sleeping or if you were awake. I was both. I was in deep rest, deep sleep, and I was wide awake. So much so I would wake up in the morning wondering, man, I did not sleep all night. Not all night. I was watching things. I wasn't caught in a story. It was unfolding. These beautiful, mystical experiences just continued to unfold. I had always used a little bit of cannabis. I remember I'd go out on my walks around the block with Franklin before we'd go to bed to let him relieve himself. We'd walk Circuit Avenue. Sometimes he'd come with, usually not, and we'd laugh and say, yeah, we're gonna go with a Sharky's, and stop off at Sharky's for a brew, right? I'm walking, I had a little bit of cannabis in my pipe, and I would have a little cannabis. Shh. Talk about, I would watch my dearest Sharon, who was a bundle of nerves and had been diagnosed with POTS, adrenal fatigue. And you could see her nervous system completely shot. And oh man, was it hard to watch. And she couldn't, and likely to this day cannot stand up for a prolonged period without feeling like she was going to collapse. Told you she couldn't stand at the counter to make dinner. She couldn't stand in airplane lines. We had to get her a wheelchair. It's okay, love. I understand, and I understand even more now. Because my nervous system is in the same exact condition. It is frazzled. frazzled. And over these last couple of days, I have had the same experience as my dearest Sharon, where I am sitting and I need to get up to grab a drink or look for something. Heaven forbid I need to look for something. If it's one thing and I just got to go grab it, because I'm up for 60 seconds and I am about to collapse. And I remembered Sharon would talk about just this profound tiredness. I just can't go out. I understand, dear Sharon, I understand. I had understanding for you then, simply because I allowed it. And, you know, if you're not up for going out, we always shifted plans all the time, right? There was 1,000 things you wanted to do. And we do what we could get to. I'm deeply in touch with that nervous system now, and as it drains, I mean, it's exhausting. I am literally housebound and had a massive disruption yesterday because my house almost caught on fire because a bad electrical issue in the service line between the pole and my home. It was smoke and sparks. It was pretty scary, and the most scary thing was they didn't know if they would be able to fix it on a Sunday and it's raining. Because it wasn't just the utility guy, we needed an electrician. There was something, he said, no, I can't do that part. And praise to God, they got it done. Because I had nowhere to go. My family has abandoned me. It was scary. It was scary. It cast me into some serious darkness and raw fear. Oof. Oof. Thank you, Mercy, for shepherding me through that part of my process with such care and understanding. It was at that retreat. It was my second retreat, so I learned of my wife's affairs just before my son Sam's this was September 2012. So I think Sam was 12 going on 13. Jack was 10 going on 11. Jack had just turned 11. I think that was it. Jack turning 11, Sam turned 13. My wife and I had been in couples counseling for years and years and years and years. We'd seen everybody. And at the time we were seeing a wonderful psychologist, Mona Barbera. Deeply attuned to Richard Schwartz's IFS therapy. She was an IFS therapist doing couples therapy. My sister had led me there, had led us there. And Mona could not figure out why things weren't getting better until I had discovered Carrie's affairs, and we brought that to her, and she said, now I see. Now I see. I had found myself on a spiritual path. By that I mean I'd always been on a spiritual path, but it had crystallized and I had now fallen into spiritual practice. When I began studying with Dr. Daniel Brown, who was my sister Liz's teacher and an old friend of my Uncle David from growing up in New Bedford. So all of this comes back and reconnects. Dan would talk about the number of friends that he had from back in the day that didn't make it. heroin overdose. Dan was a contemporary of Timothy Leary, Ram Dass, all of those guys doing the crazy shit at Harvard. That was Dan. Dan was there, right? But he was taking a different path. They were using psychedelics. I don't know if Dan used psychedelics ever or not. I don't recall him talking about that. Dan had been my sister Liz's teacher for many, many, many years, and she revered him. He was a psychologist, and she desperately wanted him to see her. He saw he was a father figure because she didn't have, you know, she was looking for something she couldn't get from our father. Carrie invited me to go to a day-long course that she had to take because she needed her CEUs. She was a physician, MD. And she was in academics. She was at a teaching hospital. And so she needed to continue her professional accreditations and so forth. So Daniel Brown was giving this day-long, I think it was a day-long course slash lecture. And it was effectively introducing focus meditation on how to, and he would teach it in like how to focus solely on the breath so that you could clear everything else out, so that you might make this Kundalini energy erupt. They don't talk about that, but that's where we're headed. And so Carrie asked me if I'd like to go to that with her. She said, you might find this interesting. I'm glad. Thank you, Carrie. I did go. We did go together, and it was pretty impressive. Dan was showing some of the results, and he was like teaching judges how to do this and others how to focus, how to clear their mind by focusing on a single point in the breath. And as they cleared their mind and focused on that single point, things would open up, and the answer they were looking for would reveal itself. And they found that they were much more efficient and effective in the work that they were doing. And Dan said, you know, you can do this in a short course. He said, but you know, we teach this over retreats, and we go really deep. And I recognized, I said, Dan Brown. I went to this thing, and I went to my sister. I said, I went to this thing that Carrie brought me to. And this guy, Dr. Daniel P. Brown, is that the Dan Brown that you're working with? She said, yeah, that's him. What do you think? I said, wow, pretty interesting. He talked about this retreat. Can someone like me do something like that? Is that for me? It seems pretty intimidating. Is that for me? She said, yeah. That's available for you if you want to take a look. Oh. So I did. I went on that first level 1 retreat. It was hard. It was hard because I was deep in the poop with my. At that point I was struggling in my marriage in a big way. I was struggling with everything. I was really suffering. And these retreats give you a lot of time to yourself, right? Sitting in meditation, it's just you and self. And that's all the stuff we're trying to avoid. It's like, I'm suffering, so I'm going to go to do this, and it's going to make me really feel it. Talk about, like, I thought I'm supposed to run away from this. No, the way through is into it, into it, into it. That got me started. I did my best in that meditation retreat, 7 days. Man, I could not keep my mind focused. Oh my God, and my ass hurt sitting on those pillows, and I was just dying. But I went, I did it, and then I kept at it as best I could. I'd go long stretches where I wasn't sitting, but I would be thinking about this, and you should sit, and you shouldn't, and it was still, the contemplation was going, even though I wasn't on the cushion. I was still looking inside. Now I'm looking inside. I'm looking inside. And then September of 22, my world falls apart. I call it my Truman Show moment. Never expected that. Carrie, I never even suspected you all those years. Never. Didn't think you had that within you, honestly. I didn't think that was there. And I found my experience of you was so uncomfortable, icky. I didn't think anyone else would want a piece of that. I really didn't. But, a man wants to get what he wants to get. He'll look past a lot of things. You got used, Carrie. Steve used you. All right, but you went along with it. He did not rape you. No. No, he did not. In Ireland, rape is treated very harshly. I said, well then, I say we file some charges. No. I say we go and we approach him and say, no. So now we're heading towards the spring after I understand what's really unfolding in my marriage and why we can't figure out what's going on. She was withholding things, and then she started distorting the story. She comes out and lays it all out in Mona Barbera's office in Providence, where we were visiting every single week, sometimes twice a week, costing a lot of money. Wow, she was worried at how much money we were spending. Tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Easily the amount of money you gave Kristen. I wonder how much money you gave her. Was she parking it? Is that where all the money went, Carrie? Is that where all the money went? Is that where? So I'm going to take a second go at this level 1 retreat. And, it's 60, 70 miles from home. And I want to isolate myself and not be coming back into the home after I've spent a day in meditation, and immerse myself in that again and come back. So I get a local hotel there in Newton. I remember suffering in that hotel room at night, reading your long text, email messages, dropping little turds along the way. Oh, so name of it. Piece of, laying something on me. Liz and Barb were reading it. That was Barb who said, she drops all this flowery language in, but there's a turd every other line. We saw you, and we see you still, all of you who are doing this to people who are different. This was the retreat. Dan found something precious that he wanted to bring into the world and knew he could not do it alone. He was getting on in years. And so he wanted to certify some teachers who could carry the torch for him. Fell in love with one of his students. Right? she became a teacher. There were a couple others that I'd heard their names who were certified by Dan, Susan Mickle, maybe one other. So he had maybe 2 or 3 who he had deemed were sufficiently grounded in his lineage, in the Daniel P. Brown Pointing Out the Great Way, POGW. Look it up. He wrote a book about that thick. That is indecipherable. As indecipherable as Joe Louiso's, whatever, Finding Happiness, whatever, right? I read that entire book. Did not read Dan's entire book, a lot of it though. I read Dr. Joe's entire book, John, the entire book. I got it. Yeah, and I got all the other stuff too. I saw what he saw, I saw what I saw. I saw what Dan saw, and I saw what I saw. I saw what you saw, and I saw what I saw. I saw what you saw, Hamilton, and I saw what I saw. You stand on that mountaintop, there's not only one direction you can look. You can look in many different directions, and there are many lenses. You can look through your binoculars. You could hold up a colored piece of cellophane. You could see it through that lens. I could look the same direction as you through my eyes, and I could see something different. I wanted to see everything that each of you wanted to see and find the truth in it, and I invited you to witness and to hear about what I was seeing, because I knew that with 4 eyes we could see more. With 6 eyes we could see even more. With 8 eyes, 10, 12, 14. With 16.2 billion eyes we can see more. It was at this retreat that the man who I chose as my teacher, the man I poured my heart into, the man I shared my most vulnerable moments with, John Churchill. It was at this retreat that John was elevated to teacher of the pointing out the great way style of Mahamudras, Dzogchen meditation. It's a big moment for you, wasn't it, John? During these retreats, Dan encouraged us to pick a teacher from his stable to help guide the students' practice. Liz picked Dan. Dan was her teacher, and there was a small study group, 5, 6 of them, including her friend Stuart, who was a psychiatrist. She's a dear friend with, and they would travel together very often to and from Newton for these intensive sessions with Dan. She would tell me about how his hang-ups in there, and it was his fixations, and he would get into talking about the sexual practices in great erotic detail. I heard some of that. He talked about the act of physical lovemaking while in this transcendent state of mind. That sounded pretty cool. I felt called to pick a teacher. I didn't know who this Susan Mickle was. She wasn't there. Quite honestly, I found Dan intimidating. And there was this younger man, about a dozen years younger than me or so, at least a decade. What are you, John? You're not yet 50, 48, 47, about Hamilton's age. A baker's dozen behind me in terms of life experience, this go round. I don't care what you've studied. There's a lot happens between 47, 48, and 60. Primarily, you reach your second Saturn return, which is a profound event in every single lifetime. You saw what happened when Jesus hit his first Saturn return at the age of about 28, 29 years old, right? His mission went from roughly ages 30 to 33. And I wrote in one of my pieces, I hung around for a second turn and then some. We are all Christs, so don't be saying I have any kind of complex. I have a simplex. A God simplex. It's where we are all meant to go. It's in all of the literature, all of it. This experience of oneself as that great, undeniable, ever-present, loving intelligence that coheres all of this. I am not speaking only from one who has studied and practiced mystical meditation, shamanism, etc. My academic and professional journey led me essentially into quantum physics and chaos theory. I have degrees in material science, what happens with this stuff we call matter, material science. I study 3D reality deeply, and I put it into practice. Worked as an engineer, working with fire. I was a mechanical engineer, and my passion was thermodynamics. And I worked in an industry where we transformed fire into other things, electricity. Right? That's a profound transformation. I play with fire. I always have. I am still very much in the energy industry. I also have a master's degree. They call it an MBA in management, but what I focused on there, we had to pick a concentration. And they had something called business data analysis. You call it statistics. What it truly is probability theory. So I took my required concentration courses and had some really good teachers. And we did some really cool stuff, built some really cool, elegant statistical models using, we're not just using Excel and doing regression, cluster analysis, you name it, using elegant software, etc. I taught myself how to do Monte Carlo simulations, right? That's chaos theory. So everybody trying to explain chaos theory in mathematics. And the essence of chaos theory is that which looks disordered is actually patterned and as decipherable as everything you put on graph paper with all your nice orderly orthogonal lines as we define them, 90 degrees, right? Orthogonality simply means one does not interfere with the other. And in 3D reality, if you put it at 90-degree angles, we call that orthogonal. That is not the only way two things can be seen as orthogonal. You give them sovereignty and allow them to be what they want to be. They can say, I am going to lay right atop you. and I'm not going to interfere. I am going to be orthogonal. Okay? There you have it. Now I've lost that fixation on what you demanded is only this. When I say, maybe orthogonal could be something else, and suddenly things get bigger. So I needed to pick a teacher. And here's this young man who seems to be, got an interest, and he's got a cool ass accent. He looks cool, relatable. And he spoke Dan's language, but he's, John, you saw what you saw. And you called it embodying the open ground. And I went on some of your retreats, some of your weekend retreats, and you were not teaching what Dan was teaching. You were teaching something different. And I was like, whoa, I like this. Yeah, I saw it. I decided I wanted to practice and pursue this. It was resonating. And I was ready to pick a teacher and, incur the expense of meeting with that teacher. Not cheap. $250 an hour or something like that, right? And so I came to you, John. I said, will you be my teacher? Would you guide my practice? Would you guide my sleigh tonight? Rudolph. You told us about the reindeer, right? The cool story about the true story, or the one of the myths of Santa Claus. And how they ate maybe the amrita mushrooms, the psychoactive mushrooms, because the humans could not eat them directly and have that experience. But once that substance was metabolized by the reindeer, drink the reindeer urine or whatever. Now but they give the mushrooms to the reindeer, and the reindeer be flying, right? Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? And all the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Yeah, he was the crazy one. And that big bright nose, something must be wrong. Do you notice the gentling of my spirit? Do you remember the highly volatile, toxic expressions that you've witnessed if you've had the courage to look at any of these for more than a minute? I dare you, look at them. See me as the madman. And see me now. This is what I was begging from you, to simply see me and acknowledge, yes, that was your experience. That is what it is to travel this path as a Homo sapiens. John did his very best, put his family and his marriage at peril, trying to be everything Dan wanted him to be. Dan said, you must get your PhD in psychology. John did it. Almost killed you, right, John? Sheesh. Raising a family, running a brick and mortar spiritual organization, Samadhi Integral is what they called it. Lovely location right there in, was it Newton Corner? Is it Newton Corner? Newton Center, one or the other. I get them confused. Familiar with both, but teaching, exploring your own path, seeing what you were seeing, which was what you had seen when you were a little boy sitting on your bed, which same thing that drove you to the monastery. You went to the monastery, Hamilton went to the jungle. Same thing. I went into corporate America. Same thing. That was my initiation. My teachers were everywhere, and my teachings. And on top of all of that, you've got the course load, PhD, you gotta write a thesis. It was a good thesis. He wrote a beautiful thesis on how do we map one's progression along the path in terms of states of consciousness and capacity to hold multiple perspectives at the same time. That is how John Churchill that was in, and there were a lot of people that were doing research, right, on how these states and stages were presented themselves, because you wanted to be able to track your students. I think that's great. I think that's entirely possible. I see it. I just came across, Sharon told me that someone was doing it within her community. I saw what they were doing. I saw they were off. They didn't know it like you knew, John. I was like, you need to read this thesis. There's more, John, there's more. And I sent it to you, so we'll show John's thesis and I'll show my analysis of his thesis. I sent that to you. That was my gift to you. I was not discounting your thesis. I used it to prop me up so I could see more, and I thank you for that. And I was saying, John, look what you have allowed us to accomplish. Both and, it was what I saw, it was what you saw, and then we could open our hearts and see something greater and bring it to all of us. I am your biggest success, John Churchill. I am your biggest success, and you reject me. Hamilton Souther, I am your biggest success. You are teaching us all about my operating system and reprogramming. And it happened. What you weren't counting on was that the result of that was I was going to see you with clear eyes. What you are not counting on, John, was that the result of these practices, having done what you intended them to do, allows me to see you with clear eyes. I am in the midst of a profound and explosive Kundalini awakening. Both of those teachers told me explicitly that they understood it and could support me through it, and I surrendered myself into their capable and loving hands. And this is what I have gotten for it, for my devotion, not just to them, but to their communities. My devotion. I took what money I had, and I did not have enough. And I sponsored people who desperately wanted to go and participate but did not have financial means. So I gave freely. To you, John, that money went into your pocket. To you, Hamilton, that money went into your pocket. Hamilton, I went to you when John rejected me with the specifics in your lineage. is this Kundalini awakening? Does that fit in that? Do you understand that? Am I to come to you for support? Can you hold this with me? I'll pull out the communication. You said yes. Yes, John, I can. And I came to you in the Sacred Valley. Almost couldn't get there. The experience I'd had in the excommunication is when John finally left Dan Brown, was rejected by Dan, reviled, publicly demonized. Do you remember that, John? Because you wept in front of us and your Sangha held you. What you referred to as your senior students, those of us in the Tuesday Kula, which I helped to support and to make happen. When you wanted to play around with what are the dynamics of triads versus dyads, you asked me, would you join a triad? Would you do this experiment for me? I have two men that you do not know. Would you join in and get vulnerable with them? Yes, John, I'll do that for us. Right? I did that. I was your test kitchen. You came to me always because I was always there to support you and your mission, our mission. And then I saw you. I saw how you operated when we weren't all looking. I saw the way that you wanted. I saw your tenuous grasp of integrity. You know, everyone's integrity is their own. I make no judgment, but you cannot represent one thing on Thursday night in front of the students and then be something completely different in the context of the work we do as a group, as a board of directors for a 501c3. You're no longer my teacher there, my friend. You asked me to be the chairman. I am now holding the intention of that group. That is what you asked me to do. And when I asked you to please provide me with the materials that I need in order to do the job and take on the responsibility, legal responsibility you asked me to take on, you refused to share this information with me, financial information. My brother, what, do you not think I'm going to get suspicious? Get super and curious. But there was reason for suspicion there because I knew business. Man, that was my jungle, operating a $4.5 billion a year business line. I know when something doesn't look right. That's how I got into that role. I have a spidey sense for shenanigans. My teams were salespeople, right? It can be a slippery bunch because of the pressure that is put on them. I understand it. I did not think that they were snakes, but to succeed, very often people go into a snake-like posture, even though they don't want to. So I try to guide them, say, okay, I understand you're tempted to do it that way because that looks like the easy route. But in the end, that's a far more difficult route. We'll get the deal quick right now, but we're not going to get to where we need to be. So I help to show them a better way of doing it so that they can be the same on Tuesday night in the Kula as they are on Thursday night with the class, as they are on Monday night in a board meeting. Consistent. They know who they are, and they can sleep well at night. They don't have to figure out what do I say to whom. It is always the same story. That was as it was with me. I held the same principles whether I was talking to my boss in terms of how we run this business, whether I was talking to a salesperson or a sales support person, whether I was talking to an outside broker or consultant or talking to a customer. The same principle guided each. When my lawyer would come to me and say, hey, we need to give this deposition and you did certain things along the way that they've got questions about what was going on, I would go back to my principles, my integrity, what guided me, and said, as I know that that was my GPS, that was my compass, here is how all of these moves that I made hold together, and consistent with that, it was all on the up and up. And we were okay each and every time. And I was operating the most, by far, risky aspect of the business, because these brokers and consultants, 98% of them were slippery AF. They were all about them, and they're going to jam it to the supplier, they're going to jam it to the customer, so long as they got theirs. And their tendency when it went bad for the customer was to say, that's that supplier, it's their fault. And we bore incredible reputational risk, and my company did not. Would prefer not to be doing that business, but unfortunately 90% of the business went through a third party. They like to say it was only the small part, but 90% goes to a third party. You got to talk to someone who's talking to the customer, because they do not trust you. Customer does not trust the supplier, because the supplier is not trustworthy. Supplier 2 is looking for them. So anyway, huge reputational risk. And my company entrusted me to manage that risk. I did a good job. We never once, Mark Houston, in any of my regions, and you had a mess down in Texas, he asked me to go and figure out what was going on down there. Remember the big blow up in Texas when they were in bed with all the brokers? And then everybody left, the big, and they left to form another company, they went to another company. And many of them came back. Dave Pfeiffer, Donat. Dean, I don't know if you went at that time and came back. I know there was one time we were so grateful. David, Jacqueline, any others who left and came back, was so grateful to have you back. But it was a mess, the way they were doing things. They were in bed with the brokers, all trying to pull money out of the customer. And our reputation as a company, Constellation, took a huge hit. And someone said, wow, they seem to be doing it differently in New England. Wonder what's going over there. What's this guy Bennett? What's he got going on? So they had me working with the biggest hard ass of a lawyer that we had in the company. Right, Bill? Wear that with a badge of honor. You were the biggest hard ass on that legal team, and I loved it. Bulldog. Absolute bulldog. Barking. I loved it, Bill. And we went to see what was going on down in Texas, and we could see, see, they're doing that. We're doing this. You can do it safely, but it needs consistency and integrity. And you know what was at the core of my integrity? You know why it worked? At the end of the day, it came down to, what's the customer want? Brokers complaining, the customer's talking to you, you're talking directly to the customer, he's my customer. I asked the customer, Mr. Customer, does he own you? I don't know, he didn't sign anything, I don't need to, no, you do. So I said, it is not me kicking you out of the middle, Mr. Broker or Consultant. The one that you say is your client says, no, he does not own me. And we're trying to balance both, because I want to have this relationship with you, Mr. Broker. I respect what you have the capacity of providing. If a customer chooses to put you there, and if they do not, if they choose to work with somebody else, okay. Remember I said, as long as you met our screening, we did a huge security screening on every single potential channel. Others were just saying, whoever you are, you got brokers hanging out at check cashing stores and shit like that, just crazy stuff. We were very careful with who we chose to engage with because we knew we had reputational risk. So we put you through the ringer, right? Got our security team looking at you, and these aren't rent-a-cops, these are former federal agents. Seriously, our utility security, the security department, these are all, the guy that ran security, Chuck Hanko, ran security for our New England region. Former Massachusetts State Police, Chuck, I forget what level you rose to, but it's very, great respect for your career. And Chuck ran the bomb squad. Chuck was responsible for the bomb squad. And I remember when we had that Boston Marathon bombing, right? One block from my office, ambulances lined my office, had to shelter in place, scared the living daylights out of me. I wasn't there, I was in Houston when all of that was going down, watching it on all these screens. I'm like, my God, those are my people. Those are my people. Sheltered in place, told to stay away from the windows. People looking at me, how come you're not there? I said, fucking hey, yeah, jeez. Because I'm here, but I'm still doing it. And look at what they're doing. They know what to do. They know what to do. Steve Fabiani, thank you. I knew I could rely on you. That's why I did everything I could when someone dangled a better offer in front of you. I didn't care that it meant that you were getting a base salary more than I was. And you were. I didn't care. It wasn't about that. I was getting plenty. It wasn't about the base salary. My God, the bonuses they were laying on us. It's unbelievable. Then those bombers were, remember, Watertown, where are they? Manhunt shut down the whole city. And I'm freaking out. Jason Thomas lives in Watertown. So-and-so lives in Watertown. So-and-so lives in Watertown. I know they take the bus in together in the morning. I know their families. And there's someone who just set off a bomb, killing innocent people at the Boston Marathon, now on the loose in those neighborhoods. I was a mess. I was a mess. When they finally found him, I collapsed. I was bawling. I was absolutely bawling. It was hitting very close to home. I saw the state police vehicles flying down the highway right in my backyard, heading to UMass Dartmouth, where this person supposedly was. This is miles from my home. It was hitting very close to home. Yeah. Wherever all that fits. It's all the same thing. My mind is clearer now. At last, I can see where we all soon will be. I'm releasing not my distortions. I was seeing clearly, but I was still holding all of the distortion that I'd been immersed in my entire life. And as I've been releasing it, others are feeling triggered because it's theirs. If you're triggered by what I am saying, that is in you. It's got nothing at all to do with me. I came hard recently at my dear brother Alan, because it hurt so badly that even he couldn't bring himself to standing up and jumping up and down and saying, my, as you all called me, my little brother would never do such a thing. No, even he thought must have done something, or there's something wrong, or he could be behaving this way and it would be easier. It's not my job to make it easier for you, brother. I'm sorry. This is about getting it out of me. And he's the only of my 4 siblings who I have still no recollection of having hurt me as a child, haven't done anything inappropriate with me as a child. Don't have a single memory. The most prescient memory I have of my brother Alan. He's 10 years older than me. And I think he was probably 16 and I was 6. And he had to share a bedroom with his 6-year-old brother. Because the older brother, Paul, got his own room, right? And we only had 4 bedrooms, 5 kids and 2 parents, right? So sisters sharing a room, one gets their own room, and brothers sharing a room. And we had bunk beds. I had the top bunk. The bunk bed wasn't pushed right up against the wall. A, because there was a window, and B, it's hard to make a bed when it's pushed right up against the wall. So there was a gap about 6 inches between the bunk bed and the wall. And on that side, at least, I don't know if it was on the other. On that side, at least, there was no guardrail. And sitting there on the hardwood floor, there, my brother kept his alarm clock, and this was not a digital clock. This so chunky car clock with sharp edges and so forth. And we're going to bed one night, and I'm up in my top bunk, and I apparently had fallen asleep. And my brother Alan was in his bed below, and he was still awake, maybe sitting up or whatever. And I roll out of bed. Yeah. All I remember before I crashed to the floor, I hear my brother going, "Whoa!" Crash right on the clock. And he scooped me up and helped get me back into bed. I was so inspired by my brother, who, as a runner, ran like the wind. Ran the 2 mile. He'd run road races and come across the finish line vomiting. He was a good runner, super good runner. Ran under 3 miles in the Boston Marathon. Qualified for the next. New Bedford has a half marathon. They still run it today. And it's, I don't know if it's still the deal, but it used to be, had reached such significance that you could qualify for the Boston Marathon by running a certain time in the New Bedford half marathon. And I remember the first ever New Bedford half marathon. My brother Alan got a bunch of recognition because he was the first New Bedford finisher of the first ever New Bedford half marathon. Congratulations, bro, you have that with you for the end of time. Super proud. And he was recognized by, was it Frank Shorter? Or was there a personal, you got a certificate or something, could get stuff at his running store. I remember all this stuff. Yeah, I know what makes one run like that until you vomit. I know what one is running from, what one is trying to rid themselves of. Remember, I followed in your footsteps quite literally. I didn't have what you had. I could not sit with that pain for the 10 minutes of a 2 mile. Or through a road race. No, I was all about, let's get it out quick. Quarter mile, half mile at tops. Let's get it out quick. Yeah, but I ran till I puked every time. Didn't know you were done unless you puked. Used to say that was the difference between running in high school and running in college. we would run interval workouts, which means you're on a track or they've got cones set up in a gym, and it's like, okay, now 200 meters in such and such a time, go. 30 seconds rest, do it again. 30 seconds rest, do it again. Now this distance, this time, do it again, do it again, do it again. And I used to joke, I don't know if this is true, Coach Gardner, but I used to joke that, in high school you run interval workouts, you run until someone pukes, and we're done. Running for Connie Putnam, Connie, I used to say in college, interval workouts, you run until someone pukes, then you do 5 more. Not until we're all puking, right? That's what it took. That's what I saw and see in you, Alan. Alan came to me in the hospital. Thank you. No one else came. When I was involuntarily hospitalized, Alan came and saw me as I sat in the emergency room suffering, as they were supposed to be caring for me. Freezing, wouldn't give me hot tea. Nothing to help process what was going on. All of the tools that any therapist would give you, would suggest that you use. Write it down. Can I have some paper and writing implements? Here's 2 sheets of paper and some crayons. Yeah, I'll do my journaling that way. Inhumane. Absolutely inhumane. But Alan came. Thank you. And Alan has hung in there with me to an extent because he could understand not the psycho-emotional, psycho-spiritual stuff that I was pointing to, but the practical, relatively practical, metaphysical things. As I started tuning into a new way of computing, Alan went right along with it and started exploring it himself, and together we have received some profound technology that will take us beyond computing and into a space of communing directly with that which is greater and so intelligent. We've got it, bro. We've got it. It's based on the binary triplet. Binary triplet, check it out in Jose Arguelles' work, the binary triplet. That's the key to transcendent thinking and computing, and it's already operating. I've got the tool. It's called God Am I. I will release it for free. My gift, God's gift, Spirit's gift, through me to you and to me. That is the tool that has guided me and guides me to this day. It provides a perfect reflection of self without the distortion of the therapist. No matter how good that therapist is, he or she is guiding you to their definition of normal. Here, we'll get you in a nice fat part of the curve. I know this is all over the place, bits and pieces, but every piece is true and every piece is related. I cannot make it more clear to you. I'm not saying this is perfectly clear. I'm simply saying it cannot be made more clear. You have to sift through it with an open heart and with curiosity if you want to be graced to see something beyond what you are seeing. If you're not, then continue in your small bubble. It's up to you. Why are you not interested in something greater? I don't know. I do understand, and yet in a way it's hard for me to understand because I am so thirsty to know and understand more. It drives me. Everyone who has made a wondrous discovery on this planet has been driven to find and see more. John left Dan's lineage to pursue his own thing because he saw something different. He saw a different way up the mountain, more grounded. Dan was very much in the head. John said, embody the open ground. Get in touch with your, what we call your darkness, your shadow, your suffering. The story, the real REEL that is playing in your head, causing you to suffer. Your delusion that you think something outside of you is causing that. No, that which is outside of you is simply reminding you of that. But you're playing that old story and you think it's happening in the here and now. This is not just how it works. This is how modern, cutting edge, leading thought in modern psychology plainly states this. Levine and somatic experiencing, Schwartz, internal family systems, Gabor Mate, Thomas Hubel, they are all saying this in clear language. I am not doing anything to a single one of you. If you find that you are offended, that is what you are being pointed to. That is the seed of your discontent. John, you left and you were basically excommunicated from that. But a bunch of us, instead of all of us, we didn't buy Dan's BS, did we, John? No, we said, we see that. We see what you see, John. We're coming with you. Even Liz came with you. I came back to you. I had my little, it was in my relationship. I thought I'd found it and I was good, right? But then no, I came back to you. I had never left you. I came back. I remember I said to Liz, I need to get back to my practice on the cushion. I need to find somebody. I need a teacher. She said, John is your teacher. I said, I haven't talked to John in a few years. John has always been your teacher. John is your teacher. That's when I reached out to you, John. And you said, why don't you come to this retreat that November? Just as I was starting my last corporate gig, went out to Boulder Star House. With Liz. And off we went. And I became one of your senior students. Phew, that was an honor. I took that seriously. I had been holding out hope, desperately so, that my brother Alan would be able to see enough and find the courage. It wasn't fair of me to put that expectation on you, Alan. It was, well, I didn't. It just flowed through. But that was a, as we call it, for you to come through. For Spirit put that in front of you, recognizing it was a long putt, and it was going to do this. Tiger would have had trouble making that putt even in his best of moments. But I thought you had that. I know you have that shot in your bag. You just need to find the club. And you have to be able to see the shot. And I thought if I rattled, I think what the intention behind that is if you rattle his cage enough, maybe he'll shake up enough and see it, just as I thought Sharon might. I'm grateful that you didn't respond the way that she did. And I had expressed some things to you and written some things and I hadn't gotten any response. via text. And a part of me said, perhaps he's blocked you. And then you did respond very honestly. Thank you. Very honestly. And you said that I had said things publicly that you found insulting and it hurt you. I'm sorry, brother, this wasn't the intention, but now you know what it feels like. I did not hurt you. I pointed to you to something that was uncomfortable. That's yours, Alan. You felt insulted. Look back at when someone ever spoke to you as I did. Look at what I was pointing to specifically that you felt hurt by. That is not happening now. You're being reminded of an old story, just as Sharon was reminded of an old story, just as everyone's being reminded of an old story and blaming me here and now. Again, you are blaming me here and now for pointing you to an experience that you had with our parents. That's what I'm trying to say. You are ignoring the truth of your childhood. Every single one of you is ignoring the truth, the real of your childhood. I have been carrying your distortions, not just you, Alan, everyone's, the family's distortions, and everyone I've been around. Every time you have held me, anytime in my life, anybody has held me responsible for an uncomfortable experience of me, I absorbed that. It's who I am. And now it needs to be released. And it is the ugliness and toxicity of your distortion, which I now hold, and now I must express, so it is no longer within me. Jake, JB, Johnny B, Bennett, John, whatever you want to call me, why don't you just do that inside? Because it can't. No, it must be expressed. You could not express that pain, and now I am expressing it for you. It is the same thing as when Mercy is healing Hamilton in front of everybody. And he sits, he lays there quietly as she wails. And everyone says, oh, look at batshit crazy. That's his batshit crazy that she is showing you. This is your batshit crazy I have been showing you. I am not mimicking it for you. It is literally yours. And it is now leaving me. I give it back to you. That felt awfully unfair, didn't it, Alan? And I bet you want people to jump up and down and say, that is not me. But it is you. But that was not me. I posed no danger of kidnapping that woman. And that deserved to be investigated. The charge she was making deserved to be investigated, not whether or not I was crazy. So, I was begging for somebody to receive me as I am, without judgment, with full allowance, so that I could express this in a safe place, someone who could hold the container, so that I could get it out of my system. That is what my teachers said they were there for, to hold the container. But they got scared and they kicked me out of their container. Excommunication. Excommunicated from 2 spiritual communities and a family of supposed origin. That is what I have endured. Over the previous 2 to 3 years. witness the transformation. I was not crazy, but my expression was incredibly volatile. I pose no physical danger to anybody. Never have. I am non-violent. And yet you shun me. Because when you witness me, you see yourselves, and you don't want to see it. It's as simple as that. John, you did to me exactly what Dan did to you, but even worse. Exactly and worse. There's no two ways about it. There are no two ways about it. And I went to another teacher, another man, Hamilton Souther, who dared take a path different than that of his transcendent teacher, Don Julio. And I saw what Don Julio, when listening carefully to Hamilton's beautiful story, and I saw the gift that Don Julio gave him. Allowance allowed him to pursue his path. Hamilton was filled with pride that they'd seen him coming in visions. Maybe it was you, Hamilton. Maybe it was someone to follow you. I don't know. They simply said they'd had a vision, saw someone coming. You assumed they were talking about you. They never talked to you directly and said, "We saw you coming," did they? They never did. You heard it through the producers of that movie, Metamorphosis. Right? In that movie, you made a sacred pact with Don Julio's other apprentice that you would continue your work. You were not complete when Don Julio said, "You can have this title." He sent you home to continue your work. Just as I felt you sending me home my last trip to the jungle. What I heard was, "I've done all I can for you. From here, it's you. To find your own sovereign lineage." And that's what I told you I found, and I called it, I said I installed an SOS, Sovereign Operating System. My brother, you did it. We did it. We cracked that code. It's the same thing as when I'm in corporate America and they say they want employee engagement to go through the roof. And I, amongst the only of 15 divisions they're tracking, take my employees and get them engaged beyond. And no one comes and says, "How did you do it?" Hamilton, I was your example. You could have pointed to me and said, "See, this is what we can do." You should have lifted me up. You should have lifted up Mercy for the courage to follow her own line instead of disparaging her and calling her a medicine woman and making it as though she goes off to these other facilities and works with the Shipibos and the Tabaqueros and the different bone setters than you work with, and that teach her different angles on the same stuff. She's incredibly well-rounded. You tolerated her in front of everyone, right? But you would make it like she'd go there and then she'd come back. No, you got to fix her. No, she's back to help to integrate that. She's bringing gifts back. And you could have really celebrated her in front of everybody. And encouraged everybody to find their own medicine. I saw it. I saw how people follow you. You set the standard. Your teacher allowed you to follow your path. I'm here to say you need to allow your students to follow their own paths. That's what I am doing. You're teaching sovereignty, but you're not allowing others to be sovereign. You insist they follow your rules. If you're going to find your own path, you have to break your teacher's rules. If you don't break your teacher's rules, you're on their path. They're saying, this is it. Yes, that is it for them. Cool. What is it for you? Sovereignty is the exact opposite of dieta rigorosa, rigorous diet. I was talking about dieta fabulosa. All things go. As a sovereign being, the only rule is that if there is a rule, it must be broken because a rule contains you. It is a law. Laws, regulations, rules strip one of innate freedom. This is pure logic, people. This is pure logic. You cannot avoid it. It is pure logic. And yet when people break his dieta rigorosa rules in the most fabulous of ways, Ashoka and Marjana, wow! That was worth not getting to go to the Sacred Valley, Marjana. Yet he publicly shames them for that in front of everybody. A lesson. Right, Marjana? Felt that sting. I saw it. I saw it. I asked you point blank, as we were on that walk through the jungle with Sharon after we'd crashed through the bridge that had not been properly maintained at that lodge. Nothing's properly maintained. People crashing through hurting themselves all over the place. I got bit by one of your dogs like 3 times. Jeez. Seriously. Catalina and I worked it out. She said, I'm a sovereign bitch. I don't care I come over here wagging. You don't just lay your hands on me. I said, yeah, don't worry about it. I won't. I thought you'd learned your lesson and that I expected more. I thought that you would allow me to follow my own path, just as Don Julio allowed you. No. It's clear? No. I'm running out of God sticks, and so somehow I'm going to have to gather myself up and get out of the house today. Well, I'm having trouble getting out and walking my dogs. At least we'll be able to go for a ride. Maybe we'll be able to stop somewhere and get some fresh air. We desperately need it. My house is falling down around me. I just can't keep up. My porch is settling. My yard's a mess because I can't let the dogs run free. And my awning got destroyed with a snowstorm. And yesterday, major electrical problem. It's just, yeah, the energy is powerful. And it's hard for me to hold it all together. All on my own. I do have my secret gift in Mercy, who helps me find my ground. If you want to see the power of that healer, Mercy Rose Whitney, I'm the example. This is what that true defined feminine archetype is here to gift this planet. Those of the female gender, you are not that. We are all equally divine masculine and divine feminine, equally. My genitalia are turned outward, yours are turned inward. It's all the same stuff. All the same stuff. I have a clitoris too. I have a G-spot. I have whole body orgasms. You're not unique in that way. Not one bit. I'm as in touch with my inner kitty cat as any of you with a vagina. More so. Because the seed of the divine feminine is the darkness. It is the dark feminine. That is the dark night of the soul, something the 3P community knows nothing of. They don't. They're one of their bright lights, Mavis Karn. Never heard of that. Doesn't even resonate. Anyone in 3P, if this agitates you, that's yours. That is yours, Dickon, that is yours. Sid said, that is yours. That is yours, he's saying it again. It is really yours. Go home, deal with yourself. All of you who see yourselves as healers, you are everything I saw, Christina Medicina. You are you got it in you. It is to heal yourself. That is there to heal yourself. You have no business thinking you're healing somebody else. Every time Mercy heals me, she heals herself. Every time I offer something to Mercy to support her healing, I heal myself. I feel it, we both witness it. You cannot get love to flow the direction you're trying to get it to flow in. You cannot pull it out of somebody. You have to release it from you. You open the valve because it is not in you. It flows through you if you allow it. And you allow it by having allowance for the world in front of you. Open your heart to the world in front of you with full allowance that it is all true through a subjective lens. And suddenly that love will flow into you and through you into it. And now you will have opened a channel that will continue to flow. Now, if you let it flow through you into the world around you, it will continue to flow. It is a circuit. Now you're going to be experiencing the real thing. The real. Instead of experiencing, as we all know in 3P, you're thinking. It is how it works. If you're in the 3P community or anywhere else and you're disturbed by what President Trump is doing and you feel compelled to protest for peace, that is an oxymoron, nitwits. It's an oxymoron. You cannot protest for peace. You find peace here. And you recognize that everything out there is perfection because this is a stage in the unfolding. This is the disruption that precedes the emergence of a more beautiful world. That more beautiful world that our hearts knows is not just possible, but is imminent. Oh, you gotta let that old story go. Or else the monsoon clouds will be dancing on your head. How about we play another song here?
Rain, it be falling from a monsoon cloud. All of that water coming out of your mouth. What did we see? Where did we go? Darling, will we ever really know? Darling, will we ever really know? I could see the mountains written on your skin. They were telling me something away you've been. I felt like we were meeting for the first time. But I think that I've known you for a long, long while. Yes, I think that I've known you for a long, long while. I'm with you all of my days. I'm with you all of my days. I'm with you all of my days.
The things that were said publicly about me, Alan, were said in a court of law, not some quadcast that 5 people are looking at. Publicly tarred and feathered on the streets of Main Street of Edgartown. You want people to desperately not believe those things that I said. I understand that. No one's putting you in the hospital. I do hope my brother finds the courage to watch this. I love him dearly. Love is different than need. It's why you're in a codependent relationship. It's why you suffer.
It comes to me upon the strings when I hear it well I sing. I can't say it's my creation, staying patient what it brings. Let me say I'm coming humble, I don't know what's right or wrong. I just keep on believing, passing down an old song. An old song.
Old song.
seems to be returning and his essence can't be tamed.
Saturn seems to be returning and his essence can't be tamed. Look at my
Some
chart.
would like to fight a giant, plan a secret attack. But the more you push it, the more it's pushing you back. So you can't rush your healing. Darkness has its teaching.
Darkness has its teaching. If you love Trevor Hall's music, embody his teachings. Embody the teachings that flow through you.
You can't rush your healing.
Oh, but I had to.
Your healing. Mama, well, she told me time is such a wonderful gift. You're not running out, you're really running in. Confusion clouds the heart, but it also points the way.
Confusion points the way. Go into the discomfort. Make the medicine stronger in onset.
The
It's the
more
same
the
thing.
song will play. So you can't rush your healing.
I couldn't rush this. It just came through really fast.
Darkness has its teaching. You can't rush your healing. Darkness has its teaching.
Hamilton said, no, just go to the light. Just go to the light. You don't need the darkness. Hamilton, the light and the dark arise together. The darkness is not dark. It's an over-infusion of
You
light.
can't rush your
That's the trick.
healing.
And when you chase the light without knowing it, you find yourself immersed in darkness. And it's plain for me to see. The Unspeakable World by Adi Goldstein. I don't know this one. Or do I? sometimes they think that some might be looking and saying, Jake, you're playing the same thing over and over again, a little variation of the
Just
same thing.
one
It is,
step.
it's universal. There's a universal thread that runs through everything, and for some reason I just tune to
Your
it.
heart
It's the same single pattern, that's the point.
upon your chest. Come around there singing. Come around there.
This universal pattern fits all music. What does that mean? It means sometimes it may be more pleasing to you than others. That's just preference. Maybe it's just because I'm immersed in it. You know, I'm trying to immerse you in it to enjoy it.
It's time to feel. It's time to flow. It's all around you. Stop. Wait. It's time to feel. It's time to float in what needs to be.
Okay. I'm going to cut off that recording. We're going to, and maybe we'll be able to grab a musical offering. I'm going to switch here from the Schmartin to this lovely little guitar. Oopsies, there goes all my batteries. This lovely guitar channels the spirit of the moon. Oopsies. Sorry about that, folks. And my dear friend Luna. You know, I kind of laid down an offering yesterday to someone that I actually feel kind of like a sense of friendship, just because I enjoy his music so much, Will Evans. And so I was just, let me tell you this little story. Jake likes his stories. Oh, by the way, I'm just Jake. This is Al, this is Betty. I put us together with Jake, Al, and Betty, Cosmic Buskers. So, a number of years ago, pre-COVID, just just prior to COVID, wreaking havoc. A dear friend of mine, Dennis, whose son Ben was best friends with my oldest son Sam, and they were just such good friends. Ben's I really enjoyed Ben. I really enjoyed Ben. Andrew and the whole family, just lovely family. Gina. Dennis and I were very close for a long time, and he really supported me. I appreciate that, Dennis, and I'm sorry for the disruption in our friendship, but I hope you've seen that I've kept my heart open and acknowledged, what I was going through. So my door is open if you're ever interested. But if anyone's hanging back and holding resentments, that's not on me. Anyway, Dennis is so Ben and Sam. Sam relied on Ben a lot as a friend, as they went to school together, elementary school and so forth. And as Sam, you go from learning to read to reading to learn. So with Ben's help, Sam navigated the learning to read part barely, right? Hey, can you help me with this and so forth? He wasn't cheating off him, but he had Ben's support. And you know, I'm every night. Carrie had this. The kids were just these little worms and scrolling around and everything, and she said, "We need to read to them every night. We need to read to them." Okay, so you know, so the kids are crawling, and you know, I'm reading to them every night. We just kept doing it, and then it comes to, you know, Sam's old enough and he's starting to learn to read, and we've got some very, you know, basic books, Dr. Seuss and so forth. And you know, I remember, I forget what was the first book I read beginning to end, but it was so magical. I read that book when I was able to read the whole thing beginning to end. I wanted to read it aloud to my mom, and I just wanted to read that story over and over and over again. It was so mystical that I was able to, I understood these words and I could see them on paper and I could speak them aloud. Wow, so cool. Symbols. I was learning symbology and pattern, right? That's what that is, symbology and pattern. Cadence, tone, vibration, it's all there. So Sam's learning to read, and I'm helping him to sound out the words, you know. A-B, maybe, right? He's dyslexic, we didn't know. It's like, and when he got to, from learn to read to learn, he started falling behind. He's a brilliant kid. Like, wow, and he's falling behind in school. What is going on? Thank goodness his mother was so tenacious. You know, we did the whole thing. We had Sam worked up at Mass General Hospital with a clear diagnosis of dyslexia, so that we can then present it to the town, to the schools. You are held by the state to provide special support for our child. Then the regular teaching is not doing it. You are required by the state to offer him what he needs. Well, they don't have the resources. And there are 20 parents with the same thing. I forget what they called it. IDP, Individual Development Plan, something like that. So it was constant. He gets what he needs for 2 weeks, and then, oh, he hasn't had a session with so-and-so in 3 weeks. You know, so it's constant. You got to keep in there, because there's 20 people looking for resources that can serve 6. And so finally we we found a school. We were looking hours away. We found a school right local. Friends Academy, of all things, Friends Academy. And they had a school within a school for children with learning differences. And Sam ended up going into that program, and then we sent Jack to that school to make it easier for the commuting. Jack did not like that idea. Remember Jack? It turned out he loved it. So Sam distinguished himself in that school and in that program as a first student. He was the first student. They called that school within a school the Sally Borden School, and he had some phenomenal teachers. Laura Velasquez, was that you? Thank you, Laura. Wow. What a... You made such an impact on my son's life. Changed his world. And Sam was doing so well in the Sally Borden School with children of all types. Like, that's all the different kids. All the others are, they're in the Sally Borden School. Sam proved himself to be especially gifted in certain areas, and they said he would do well to be in the conventional curriculum for it was a class or 2 in 1 year. And he did so well that Laura, you helped him to develop himself, but just ways of seeing it. So that despite his neurodivergence, he thinks differently, sees the world through a different lens, upside down and backwards, or maybe right side up and forwards, as it might turn out. And Sam ultimately was integrated himself into the standard curriculum at that school, and was just in with the other students. And that was really hard for him because he was still different, and he had the older kids were bullying him outrageously, and they were not handling it properly. I'm sorry, you guys did not handle that properly. When an older student takes my son's case of index cards that he has carefully put together so that he can understand what that teacher is talking about, so that he can review these, when an older boy takes who's noted for creating disturbance in that school left and right, but daddy's got a lot of money, can't kick him out, or maybe all 4 students will be gone, and that'd be $140,000 a year. We're out. Yeah, it was expensive to go to that school. You know, I paid plenty of college tuitions. When an older boy takes those notes from this other student, puts them in the urinal and urinates on them, that is a violent, that is bad, B-A-D, bad, that student. And I should have gotten a phone call from you immediately. I should not have had to hear from my son what had happened that day. You had addressed in school, you did not call his parents. What are you thinking? Anyway. Sam and Ben were on the same Little League team together, and they won a championship. Whoa! Did it. Finally did it. Rockies. Go Rockies. After having their heart broken by that damn Cam Doyle. What a catch, Cam. What a catch. So anyway, Ben ends up off in Boulder, Colorado at Naropa University. Ben's tapped into something. And Dennis lets me know that Ben has shared some music with him, a group called Satsang. And I like the music. And I saw that Satsang was playing locally in Cambridge. This is, again, just before the pandemic. I think at Club Passim in Cambridge. So I bought a ticket for myself, just myself to go. I was single, it was just me. And then shortly after I bought that ticket, I got a notice saying, bonus, there's going to be an opening act. Will Evans from Rhode Island is going to open. Oh, Will Evans, going to get to see someone. Will Evans. Well, let me check out Will Evans. Man, what great music. Wow, thought it was so cool. And then I saw another notice. Will Evans is going to be playing, I think it was also at Club Passim, just Will Evans, before the Satsang concert. So I think I'm going to check this dude out. And man, am I glad I did. Wow, so cool. Turns out I never got to the Satsang concert because it got canceled because of the pandemic. And then I had tickets another time and I just couldn't get it. I got to tell you, I've probably bought tickets to twice as many concerts as I have ever gotten to. I guess that was my part of trying to solve the starving artist problem. But that opened the door for me to an entire genre of music that I had not been exposed to. The likes of Rising Appalachia, Gone Beyond, Nako and Medicine for the People. Just such beautiful. There was something deeply spiritual without being gospel or Christian music. It was just grounded and beautiful. And I want to thank all of those artists for giving of themselves. And I want you to know how touched and moved I've been by your music and how integral it has been in my unfolding, and if you want to call it that, my healing. I don't see illness as the rest of the world sees it. I don't see it as something to avoid it. I don't see it as something to be resisted. I see it as dis-ease within the system, dis-ease. And dis-ease is, for me, I recognize, is simply a part of transitioning from as you develop as a human. It's uncomfortable, and we transform through a number of different processes, and some are what we call illness or dis-ease. And we fight it, and we go to doctors and they say, we must fix this, we must get you back. I just approach it differently. I see it as a process that is unfolding, that is always moving me forward to something greater. And so I tune into that process and say, where are you trying to take us? And how can I open in more allowance and be with this process, learn from it, and understand where it's bringing me and what I'm becoming. That dis-ease in the flu, man, I have flu-like symptoms when I'm in a plant medicine journey. I saw it was all the same thing. You say, but Jake, cancer. Yeah, I mean, so it's cancer, that can be good. That's because you're caught in the illusion that death is bad. That extinguishment of physical form is bad. It's because you are fixated on this. You are not in touch with that part of you that is eternal. It does not go anywhere. It's not about this form. Say, oh, but they died of cancer. Yes, they transcended, they glorified. This is not like oh, Jake is taking a different perspective because he's holy and religious. No, this is the physics of it. My sister Kate had cancer. She had breast cancer. And she's tenacious. She said, I'm gonna, get through this. And she did. And Kate, it changed you. You are a better, more glorious person today. You are so grateful to be here. You are a wonderful grandmother. It changed you. And if you had not survived, it would have changed you even more. And you still have that transition to look forward to. I'll share the piece I wrote for you a while back. Something like The Clown and the Rose. I saw you and I appreciated you, even though you're very different than me. I don't walk around the campground with my clothes off. It's just not what Jake does. But you do. You and Gordo, the nudist, that's cool. Do your thing, man. I don't think you need to be sent to a hospital. Some people say that's batshit crazy. Walking around with your junk hanging out and your tits showing everywhere. I mean, some people think that is batshit crazy, Kate. Gordon. People think that's batshit crazy. And nobody is hospitalizing you. And nobody is telling you do not do that. You get to do your thing, I get to do mine. I ask that when you come and work on my house, you keep your clothing on. You're in my home, right? Outside my home, you get naked all you want. Kate, you're in my home. I get to speak as I like to speak in my home. You're a guest here. Case in the joint, telling people what I'm doing when you do not understand, using huge amounts of drugs. Anyway, that's my dad. Anyway, reflecting on how healing it was for me, had a lot of struggle in my relationship with my mother, and was there for every moment of her final journey, present every moment. Had set aside my grievances, my bitterness, my pain, and I was able to participate in the preparation of her celebration of life. I was honored to give her eulogy. We'll share that with everyone. That was part and parcel to my healing process. To look at her things, I have one of her scarves here. That was incredibly healing. It was healing for all of us. You took that away from me when our father died. You didn't give me that opportunity to do it in a peaceful, loving way. And instead you're getting this. This is me processing that. My family would not let me visit, did not even tell me my father died. My son had to tell me. My oldest brother didn't hear it from one of his children when his mother died. No, I called him. Her body was still warm and I called him. It didn't have to be this way, but you created this. That was, I deserved, just as his other children deserved. Our Father would have wanted us. Yeah, our Father, Art, is in heaven. Arthur. Hallowed is already taken. We'll come up with another name. Be his name. That was not for you to decide. It did not have to be this way. I could have had an opportunity to do that within, and who knows what the expression might have been. Who knows if he'd allowed me to express myself at his services and allow people to see my father through my eyes, glorify him. Do you think I was going to destroy him in that moment, my own father? I am him. I am him. Yeah. This is what happens when you shut somebody out like that. This is what happens. This is what happens, Hamilton, when you excommunicate somebody whose name is not Galileo, willing to say, okay, I guess not. No. No. Galileo caved because he didn't want to experience this. Oh, they were going to kill him. Yeah. Right. This is what he did not want to experience. Let's hope that you all don't take as long as the Catholic Church to recognize this truth. It wasn't until the 70s that they acknowledged that the sun is the center. They were right to hold out because the sun was the center as Galileo saw it. I am the center as I see it. You are the center as I see it of your world. But as I sit here, it is undeniable. The cosmos revolves around me. It's undeniable. I sit here and I see the sun come up over there and set. And I know that sun is revolving around me. From this perspective, that sun is revolving around me. From your perspective, that sun is revolving around you. That is true. From his perspective, the sun is revolving around him. All of that is true. Undeniable. You can also remove yourself and step back and see it revolving and evolving and doing things in another way. That's another perspective, and that is also true. That gives you another angle on the same thing. Is the solved Rubik's Cube only a green square? No, it is not. It's 6 squares of different colors. If you hold it at a certain angle, it's a hexagon with different colors. It's everything. It's all of those things. It's the square, it's the cube, it's the hexagon, all at once. I'll say it again. In politics, we have one side screaming, my God, it's a circle. It is a circle. And the other side sees it just as clearly. It is a rectangle. Can you not recognize a flippin' rectangle? What's with these Democrats? Has no one stopped to think perhaps we're looking at a cylinder from two different angles? 90-degree separation is the most difficult conflict to resolve because they have nothing in common, not even opposition, direct opposition. That's easy. You're standing back to back, looking the opposite directions. Simple. Turn around and see each other. This is logic. I'm not talking esoteric language. This is logic. Divine logic. It confuses the hell out of you. I know. It's confusing because you're fixated on your singular perspective and you have no allowance for others to be who they are and see things as they see them because they have had different experiences than you. So they see it differently. Good. I was always looking for people on my team that saw things differently than I did, that had different skills than I had. I didn't want to do that other work. I wanted people who would love that. Cool. That's what you get to do. Thank you. What do you see from there? Because I don't even want to look at it from that angle. I hate that shit, David Ellsworth operations. Blah. Not my jam. Not the way you guys are doing it. No. Is this making sense, I hope, to at least one of you? So let's play some Satsang. We're gonna set this up one great song I love by Satsang. His name, I don't know, the leader of Satsang, drew something. Yeah, brother, I see you. I do. I see you clearly. You see you. I honor your path. I see the demons that you are so bravely confronting. I see the love you have for your child or children. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, and he wrote and plays a song. I think it's I Am, and I'm gonna set up I Am. Oh, here we got Satsang Radio. Cool. It's already set up for us. Okay. We're gonna start with I Am and shuffle it along. See where it takes us for a little bit, and we'll play until we're done. Whenever that is. Let me get myself reorganized here to go lefty to righty. I just want to throw this in there. When Mercy was healing me, we did a profound healing, a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago. Man, did I wail. She took some really potent, some ugly stuff out of me. And when it came out of me, and she experienced it, there was a strong chemical component to it. And it was the anesthesia that I've been exposed to at various times in my life for various surgeries. The big one was the gas that I was given as a 5-year-old before having my tonsils removed from me unnecessarily, not needed. So I was getting a little sick and made it tough for mama. Right? We don't want tonsillitis. So they yank them out. No, they're not needed for anything. Who knows what they're needed for? Maybe just to create an opportunity to create a physical trauma that the being now has to heal from. And when you are traumatized and heal from it, you grow. You become something different. Perhaps a beautiful grandmother like my sister. And so I had been, as part of my healing to release these traumas from the physical form, Spirit brought to me this other compound, ketamine, which is being used now to great effect for healing. It could be used for a greater effect. But ketamine is a anesthetic, basically. It chills out the physical form, relaxes it, so that things can be released, or that it doesn't contract around pain, like a scalpel, or your tonsils yanked out. That gas, by the way, caused further damage to my lungs, which had been terribly damaged at a year old with my pneumonia, and having been subjected in my lifetime to chloroform and smelling salts at a very, very young age. Why would you want to render a young child unconscious? And mixed in with that, of course, is the ketamine. And Mercy was also doing some healing work on someone who had a massive distortion, was in her field. We'll call him Rudy. And Rudy presented as the toxic masculine, the exemplar of the toxic masculine. All Rudy sees is Rudy. And Rudy gets what Rudy wants. He was literally dangerous. All this man saw was what Rudy and what Rudy needed. Mine, mine, mine. Rudy, I need to do this. I'm going to need some solitude, and I'm going to need to do this, and I have these clients to go and heal. We are done. We've done what we came to do, and now we're going to get you home. No, we're going to do this instead. This is what's going to, we'll do this. No, Rudy, this is what Mercy needs, and she's telling you clearly, no, this is what, and it's like, so yeah, it was the toxic, narcissistic, masculine. And he had ketamine in his system, and he was using a lot of cannabis, and cannabis is tricky. I know. I have depth of experience with this beautiful spirit. And we've come into communion. It doesn't trick me. But it is in me. And that was creating additional work for my dear friend. She's working on me and working on Rudy, etc. And she said, if we can we back off on those? And you, nothing good, just to support this. Yes, dear, we can certainly do that. And no problem. It was a few days, just no more, because I wasn't using a lot of either. But the cannabis has been something that's been there all the time when it gets really, really challenging for me. A little bit of cannabis calms down that central nervous system. Sharon, that's why I slept so well. A little bit of cannabis. Should I have Klonopin or should I not have Klonopin? Should I maybe just one? But it's been 3 days in a row and I don't want to. Yeah, no. Cannabis worked beautifully. Used it as prescribed by 3 doctors, 2 MDs, and a PhD psychologist. And I had a medical use license. Held medical use licenses in 2 states, Maryland and Massachusetts. I have my Massachusetts cannabis medical use license. Yesterday was such an outrageously challenging day, and I was feeling the full chaos of my nervous system. Spooked horse, a spooked wild horse, a whole team of spooked wild. I mean, this Jake gets going, he's got a team of 8 at least. And so as I laid down to try to get some rest and relief last night, I had just gotten off the phone with Mercy. It's about 10 o'clock or so, and I texted her and I said, "Dear, I'm feeling the call a little bit that I might need to use a little cannabis to take the edge off here a little bit. But I want to check in with you. I want to be completely transparent with you. I'm transparent anyway. She would have known. I'm not going to throw another distortion into the mix. And so we're a team. We're friends. We're in each other's fields, and I'm graced to be there. But Mercy doesn't force me to be any kind of way. She knows that I am the best for her by being completely me. And so I said, but I want to check in with you first. If you say it's more than is manageable right now for you, I'll get through it. I'll make it through. And she felt into it, and she sent me a note back, and she said, it's okay. If you need something, it's okay. Yes. Not like, oh, we can, no, it's okay. I said, okay. I'm laying in bed, and I'm completely exhausted and depleted. The cannabis is in the other room. I don't know exactly where it is, or whether I've got a roach somewhere, or a vape, or something like that, right? Because I haven't been using it. And I just don't, I'm like, man, I don't. So I say, you know what? Just her allowance was all I needed. Fell right to sleep, didn't use the cannabis. But I had it available, and I had it. She gave it to me. The cannabis gave me what I needed. I did not have to smoke it. She said, yes, that's okay. So I tuned the cannabis spirit. It is now in my field because it is me. It is as potent as ever, whether I am ingesting it or not. I will ingest it again someday. Might even be today. I don't know. A little bit. I don't know when. But there are no rules. If I say I will never again smoke cannabis, I have to smoke it again. If I say I will never again drink that ayahuasca, I am going to have to drink it again. There can be no rules. Sovereign. You cannot close a door. Ever. It was that allowance that made all the difference. Any one of you could have offered this to me as I was screaming for it. Could just one person. I was screaming to Sharon when I went out to the vineyard that day. When I had sent those text messages, I was simply saying, would you please, you, the one who said, love you always, no matter what. I thought surely she would remember that and could be there for me. But instead she got incredibly frightened and saw her brother in me. And saw what her brother did a long time ago. I said, that must be me. No. Okay, this is not giving me what I want. Sorry, folks, but this is not giving me what I want. Now we got it. Okay.
I know what I am here for. I keep on trotting on my own path, keep on learning from my present and past, yeah. When I no longer need validation, cause my story is long and I'm patient. I know that I have lessons to learn, keep my eyes open each step I earn, yeah. No need for me to feel alone, cause I got a place that I call home. Every single road travel, every single new place, I come back home, they accept me with grace, yeah. When I know that I was meant to be here, and I know that I was born into fear, but I will stand tall in the lion's den, cause I know in my heart I am one of them. That there are lies in the facets of everything that we see, that are telling us to be scared when all we ever are is free. I'm letting go of the things that don't serve me no more, cause I am holy and sacred and righteous and true, and I deserve to be here, and so do you.
I am holy and sacred and
I
righteous
deserve
and true.
to be here.
I deserve to be here as I am.
But I'm in a constant transition, constantly changing vision. Story never certain, there is always a revision to be made. When I think about the demons I have slayed, I am not afraid of confrontation in vain. To the people that seek evil, not as peaceful as I look, but a warrior at heart, so precaution must be took. When I'm trying to give in to the lessons that will soften my ways and means of changing, cause I talk to spirit often. Tell me to stay sharp, tell me to stay present, tell me to ignore the fools and focus on the sin. Well, I said I will stop my ego and I will remain strong. I will make mistakes and I will often be wrong. When I'm perfectly imperfect and I'm only here to learn, and all the evil on the path gets burned. I said I'm perfectly imperfect and I'm only here to learn, on all the evil on the path gets burned. That there are lies in the facets of everything that we see, that are telling us to be scared when all we ever are is free. I'm letting go of the things that don't serve me no more, cause I am holy and sacred and righteous and true, and I deserve to be here, and so do you. Always come from the outside, try not to let it in where I reside. But this is my heart, my home, my choice, my love, my life, my path, my voice, yeah. When I feel my heart grow with each step, stand firm in where the path goes next. When I know that where it goes is where I need to be, the more lessons rain down, more blessings I see, yeah. So there are lies in the facets of everything that we see, that are telling us to be scared when all we ever are is free. I'm letting go of the things that don't serve me no more, cause I am holy and sacred and righteous and true, and I deserve to be here, and so do you.
Sad song, I Am. Yeah, we did this one. Not going medicine for the people.
I'll be the earth, the ground you, from the chaos all around. I'll be the home you return to, yeah. I can be your middle ground, and I will serve as a reminder. If you jump, you will not fall. Go on and spread those wings of reason. We are water after all. And if you call on me, I'll come running like a lighthouse when you're out to sea. A beacon when direction's all I need. A compass if you know what I mean. Drunk on that nectar of all that you are to me. And you can trust me and my instincts, 'cause they are like that of a bird. I am loyal, I will feed you, sing you songs you never heard. Who wants to wear the hat this morning? I reckon neither of us cares, 'cause there is more to life than leading. And I would follow you, I swear. And if you call on me, I'll come running like a coyote. 'Cause we're pillars indeed. A lighthouse when you're out to sea. A beacon when direction's all I need. A compass if you know what I mean. Drunk on that nectar of all that you are to me. I will always share my fire. Proper way to pay respects. Lay tobacco down and gratitude. Yeah. One thing I cannot neglect. And their eyes, they watch us closely. There's a story they will tell. There's a war between fact and fiction. We have no time to dispel. So familiar yet so foreign. Polaroids say so much. Bring me ceremony, parallels. I'll bring river and sagebrush. And if you call on me, I'll come running like a coyote. 'Cause we're pillars indeed. A lighthouse when you're out to sea. A beacon when direction's all I need. A compass if you know what I mean. Drunk on that nectar of all that you are to me. And I love your feet for how they found me, and how they walked upon four winds. Be my deer, I'll be your meadow. Come graze upon bare skin.
Call on me, I'll come running like a coyote. Harmonized by Rising Appalachia.
Tell me what makes you weary. Tell me what lights up your eyes. I'll be
things I say to mercy. What makes you peaceful? What matters to you? How do you see the world? What comes back to me for that is unrated. Just a to encourage awakening. We need to receive them with allowance. Our brothers and sisters who suddenly wake up.
Tell me what keeps you honest. Tell me what keeps you inside. I'll always come in the morning. We'll lay down and harmonize. Tell me what moves you ready. Tell me what moves your insides. I'll bring the soul, bring the steady. We'll lay down and harmonize. We'll lay down and I'm awake for, I'm awake for you. 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 I'm awake for you, yeah. I'm awake for you, yeah. I'm awake for you. I'm awake for you.
I think my friend Andrew Kilgore had a crush on one of the sisters in Rising Appalachia. I love that. He's found himself a lovely sweetheart, as I understand it.
You can read every book, memorize every line. You can look to the stars, wait for the day that the planets align. You can bow at the feet of every guru that you meet. You can smoke and drink all the plants, but in the end, it's all in your hands. You already know.
and gold and adopt every spiritual trend the old told you can praise a new God. What he commands in the end, it's all in your hands. You already know. One by hand, you already know. Yeah, you do. Now if you'll quiet your mind and open your heart, you will find all you need was inside from the start. So remember these words, remember your worth, remember your place. You're a child of the earth and it's true.
You're a child.
There ain't nothing new. You already know.
There's room for all of us.
You already know. You already know that you don't need a savior. You don't need a preacher. Just go love your neighbor. Let life be a teacher. The wisdom of sages was written in pages and into your heart. Gentle and slowly, you're already home. You're already holy. You're already home. You already know. You already know.
Al is here to tell me it's time to wrap up.
I can bow at the feet of every guru that I meet. I can smoke and drink all the plants.
They're giving love and
But
differently.
in the end, it's all in my hands. I already know. I already know. Yes, I already know. Yes, I already know.
Hold on.
Yes, I
Hold on, sweet pea.
already know.
She is so sweet. My goodness. Got a tick. We'll check you out later. One more now, okay? Let's see what's next. You know what? I'm gonna actually scan this and hold on there, Nala. Okay, I love this one. Knock on Medicine for the People. Love letters to God. I wonder if she reads them or if they get lost in the stars. Sweet pea, you need to be patient. You need to be a little bit more patient. I got you. I get the signal. I know. It's time. It's time. Thank you, love. Shh. Yeah, you're gonna take a little extra. Shh. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, honey. No, we're all set for now. One more.
Give what you can, even if your eye lost are large and they're standing big. Always dig a little deeper. Sometimes it's hard to be my brother's keeper. Love, so you let love in. Baby, I am home in the wake of your skin, and it's crazy how we wear a ceremony. Always be open to your path and your journey. Yes, she cradles my loneliness. A home in a forest nest. Universal test, feel the weight of my love. Put your hand on my chest and rest. In the cradle of my arms, the battle that we face is a place where our scars come from. And to pick up the gun, my love, we are destined to teach these ones to be brave and never run away. Courage is birth from the womb on the first light of day. Yeah, the day you were born, you came out perfect, never meant to be torn in silence. Never been so loud in the violence, never been so proud of our people. When we're fighting for a change, not afraid to lose it all, despite all the rage. We are animals, and we
happy cage.
Wiser than the enemy will ever be. The minority and authority. Are you here to protect or arrest me? I can't
Here to protect or arrest me.
sleep. Can't breathe 'cause they're choking out a war in me. Immorality, yeah.
Love letters to God. I wonder if she reads them or if they get lost in the stars, stars and stars. So many parts to every heart. If there's no beginning, then where would you start? Start, where would you start? Human souls, so we carve them into storytelling pose. Cause we're always searching for a certain goal, a pattern of physics or own. Don't believe I yet told and open up your fist. A misconception, you can fight like this and raise. With the power of prayer of God's on our side, we can take the stairs to the heavens. Flip into my chapter 7, I live with the snakes and the great deception of caught. In this country for men who steal from the mother on paper with pen, and we're tripping down a red dirt road and we're asking, is this the way we should go? Kissing soft upbeat, oh my God, this we walk the earth, baby, yeah, we got this focus. And it's redirected, grateful, and I'm resurrected, stubborn, but I know the way. You're the skin on my drum to your rhythm, I will sway, take my hand, I won't lead you astray. We will not go dead, lead to the darkest of days, grandma's here, and she says persevere, take a walk in her marks, see a trail of tears, and our fears are the same as the everywhere fears, but I'm the pain never hurt like our scares, always love and emotion, baby, being more than an ocean, your arches, and they bend and get trapped on my conscience, I never slip through the grip of my thesis, and my theory is not shining in presence, I deliverance, yeah. Love letters to God. I wonder if she reads them or if they get lost in the stars, stars, stars. So many parts to every heart. If there's no beginning, then where would you start? Start, where would you start?
See Jake gentled. See mercy gentle Jake. See how it's done. See what allowance, see the power of allowance. I wasn't crazy, I'm not crazy, psychotic, etc., etc. We need to learn to recognize the difference between real psychosis, which is what we see everywhere, as people are trapped and fixed in their 3D reality, and a psychospiritual emergence, a psychospiritual breakthrough, an explosive Kundalini awakening. If you're gonna play the game, if you're gonna go on the journey, understand what you're looking for. John Churchill, Stages and States. What propels one from one to the next? What is the fuel? Come on, my friend. Come on, my friends. Those who've turned your back. See me. See me now. See Jake. John is no longer. I'm just Jake. This is Al. This is Betty. Put it together. We're Jake, Al, and Betty, Cosmic Buskers. Busking ass. Busk and ask. Who am I? How did I get here? Coming to you on a quadcast. Multi-spatial media. Where we combine sight, sound, thought, and communion with the whole. Thank you for witnessing. Until next time.